In this tutorial, I will show you how to create components using Figma Design System. I will create a simple sign up pop-up as an example. This should be quick and straightforward. So for this, I'm going to be using a desktop, and I also help myself out and add a grid. There we go. Now for the sign up page, we will need another frame. And by the help of this grid system, I'm going to choose 360 by, let's say 450. For now, we'll adjust this later on. Okay, and I'm going to give it a radius of 8. The reason I did this is because all the components in Figma Design System has the radius size of 8. So it has to match the styling. Now for this frame, we're going to add a fill. And we're going to choose a light background. And we'll also give it an effect of drop shadow of 4, which is the heaviest, and 1 is the lightest. So, and as an example, let me go ahead and show you. I'm going to turn off the grid. As you can barely see, there's a drop shadow effect. Let's change this to a heavier one. There we go. And we will also give this frame, the desktop frame, a light background of secondary. There we go. Just to make this frame more visible. We will go to the Assets section. Under Local Components, we will choose UI Components, and we will be needing headings. There are two types of headings. There's a vertical and a horizontal. We will need the horizontal. Drag it and drop it on our frame. And it's too big for our frame, so on the right side, we will change the settings to 24, the size settings. And again, still too large, so we're gonna drag it over here and fix the width. There we go. Now, we'll also need on each side of the border this component to be 24 pixels away from each border. So there are two ways to do this. First of all, we'll go to the grid and spacing. There's a horizontal and a vertical. We'll choose the vertical and drag and drop it on our frame. This vertical spacing is 4 pixels, and on the right side, we'll go ahead and choose the 24 and align it to the left of our frame. We're going to select this, duplicate it, put it on the right side, and we will adjust our heading by the help of these spacing. So this is one way to do it. The second way is the hardcore way. I'm going to go ahead and delete these. I'm gonna change this back to its original size. Now we're gonna select the heading, and we're just gonna do the hardcore way. So we need 24 and 24 from each side, so that is 24, 24, 48. We're gonna go to the width, minus 48, and it's adjusted. And we're gonna align this to the center of the frame, and there we go. But again, we also need this top part to be also 24 pixels away. So we're gonna look at the frame's y-axis and enter 24. There we go, all done. I'm gonna zoom in and going to select this button and the icon next to it, and I'm gonna make it disappear because we do not need them right now. I'm also gonna select this icon and give it a close icon figure, and we're gonna select the title and change this to sign up. Now we need a text field, so we're gonna go back to Assets, and in the search bar, I've already searched it, we're gonna type in text field, and I'm gonna choose this one right here, drag and drop it, and it looks like it's a little bit too big, so I'm gonna change the size to medium from the settings on the right, and I will also be needing a label, so we're going to enable that. Okay, so let's select this component. Looks like the width is 312, and just to make it look more nicer, we're going to also set the width to 312. Okay, we're gonna select this, bring it up here, and let's see, 4. We're gonna do, and we're gonna make the difference between these two components 24 pixels apart. Now from this component I will not need the icon, so I'm gonna turn that off, and also the small asterisk. Okay, so we're gonna change the label to email, and this is gonna be the same. So I'm gonna select the component again, hit Command D, duplicate it, and create duplicate of it. However, this time I will not set the component differences to 24 pixels, but it's going to be actually 12 pixels apart. There we go. And we're going to change this text field to password. Okay. I'm going to duplicate this once more, and we're going to set it 12 pixels apart. And for this one, for the text field, we're gonna do confirm password. And for the second component, we're going to add a right icon from here. We're gonna select the icon, and okay, that's not selected. There we go. And we'll give it a visibility for the password. You can do the exact same thing over here also, but that's up to you. Now we will need a checkbox. I'm going to expand this, and from the assets, I'm going to find the checkbox, drag and drop it. I will also add a label to it from the settings. I'm going to move it and align it so it's 24 pixels apart. I'm going to go ahead and change the option text to I agree with the, and then I'm going to hit the T button for text and write terms and privacy, and give it a fill of blue. Align it with the component over here, select both of them, and I'm going to enable the auto layout feature here on the right. Hit the plus button, and I'm gonna give it spacing of 4. There we go. Oh, and by the way, we can also go ahead and choose the icon over here, and for the state we can check it to checked. So it looks like this. Now again, from the assets, we'll find the button. We're gonna add the button. The size looks okay, however the style is primary, and the type, we'll change the type to fixed. There we go. I'm gonna align this again and expand it. Okay, I'm gonna change the text to create an account. Okay, so now we're gonna add the social buttons. For that, I will go ahead and hit the T button and write or connect with. For this text element, I'm gonna give it a fill of gray 300, and let's change the size to paragraph 13. And we're going to align this. Actually, I'm going to select the button and the text, and the spacing in between I'm going to set it to 32, and I will set this to center. Okay, now again, from the assets we will need a divider, so I'm going to search for a divider, and I'm going to use the horizontal divider, drag and drop it over here. Let's zoom in. And this is just for purposes of it looking good. So we're gonna set the width to 96 and align this with the other components. So select this align to the right. I'm gonna duplicate this, select the button, align it to the right. There we go. So that is all set. The spacing difference between this and this element is 32. Now I will need another button for the social platforms. So one button will be for Facebook and the second one will be for Twitter. And the settings for the button, we're going to change this to medium, the size, style to secondary, and type to fixed. We'll also need to add a left icon for the Facebook icon. Now here's the tricky part. To set the size, we will take the size of the big button, which is 312, and we will subtract 16 pixels, which is the spacing between the two buttons. So the Facebook button and the Twitter button, the spacing in between will be 16. So let's go ahead and do that. So that is 312 minus 16. And now this size of 296 will be divided by 2, which are the two buttons. So divide by 2. So this is the size of our single button. Align this, and also we'll have the alignment between this button and the text to be 32. So I'm going to select this, hit 32. There we go. Let's change the name to Facebook, and the icon, we will search for a Facebook icon. There we go. We're going to duplicate this, and again set it. And now when I hit the Option or Alt button, we can see the difference between these two elements. As I mentioned before, the spacing is 16 pixels apart. So let's change this to Twitter and change the icon to Twitter. For the final part, we'll need another divider. So for the assets, we will search for a divider, choose the horizontal, drag and drop it. So the width is 72 and the width of this button is 312. So we're gonna copy that and apply it to our line. And we'll have to do the exact same spacing. So I'm gonna select this and hit 32. Now I'm gonna go ahead and align them here. Now for the final part, the text, I'm gonna hit the T button, right? Already have an account. And another separate text field saying just log in. For the first text field, I'm gonna give it a grayscale 200 and a size of paragraph P2. And for the second login text, we're going to give it a fill of blue, and the heading will remain as heading number 516. Now we're going to select both of them, hit the auto layout button, and for the spacing in between we'll hit 8 pixels and alignment to the center. Now to fix the artboard, I'm gonna drag this right up to the text, and then from the height I'm gonna add 32 pixels. There we go. And I'm gonna align the whole thing in the middle. There. Our sign up page is complete.